I mean, it's shocking and devastating because it means one of two things. Either a majority of Americans believe that their family, friends, and neighbors are actually racist because American society is racist, or they believe that the institutions of American society are so deeply corrupt and systematically racist that they have to be razed to the ground. The only solution, if you believe that society at this moment in 2020 is systemically racist or inherently racist, is complete destruction of the system.
Yes, absolutely. That was Ben Shapiro inadvertently getting to the point exactly that we wanted to make. Well done, Ben. Well done. Conservatives accidentally coming to the conclusion. So obviously Ben Shapiro referencing a poll here, right? So that's the entire thing. This entire segment is about a poll done by the Wall Street Journal and NBC News. Now they found that 56% of voters say the American society overall is racist. Yep. Yeah. The majority in this case is absolutely right. And it only took a pandemic where, a lot of people could actually stay home and pay attention to the news, as well as the murder of man, George Floyd, by police officers kneeling on the man's neck for 8.5 minutes for people to realize, oh, damn, I guess this is kind of a racist country. So anyway, now understand that we're about only 60 years shy of ending the Jim Crow era, right? And so that's really, there are people still alive who grew up at a time when black people literally had to drink from separate fountains. So understand that we're nowhere near over racism. We still have things that, in our system, in our government, that are leftovers from racism. Those institutions are still there and still in effect in many places. I can give you a great example, the Electoral College. Now, a lot of people don't know the racist history of the Electoral College. They think, oh, well, Electoral College, obviously it's there. That's how we choose president. And in fact, the Electoral College is basically how Donald Trump won his election. He didn't win the popular vote. We didn't have direct democracy. And in fact, the framers rejected direct democracy. One of those was James Madison. Now, in theory, he said he supported direct democracy, but there was a problem. He said this, quote, "The right of suffrage was much more diffusive in the northern than in the southern states, and the latter could have no influence in the election on the score of the Negroes. The substitution of electors obviated this difficulty and seemed on the whole to be liable to fewest objections." So now basically he's explaining why we couldn't have direct democracy, why we were going with the Electoral College. Because if somehow, I should say, if Northern blacks got the right to vote, then the South would never win. Southern states would never win any elections ever. And so the Southern slave states were like, well, we can't have that happen because, well, what would blacks do if they vote? Well, they would abolish slavery. They would vote politicians in that were abolitionists, and they would abolish slavery, therefore ending our, monetary system, our system of, transatlantic slave trading and human chattel that we rely on for our vast fortunes. I can't have that. Nope. So we cannot allow for direct democracy to ever take place. So we're going to put in this Electoral College. And so, look, that and by the way, the framers, even if they did believe in abolition or which many of them did not, or direct democracy, they still had to make a deal with those southern slave states. And so that's what they did in order to get them to sign into the Constitution. So that is a racist institution that we have had in this country since its inception, where, people who wanted to own other human beings because they're black and believed that they were subhuman and therefore, could be treated as property and be property. Those are the people that did create and found our country. We should get rid of that system. Like we got rid of poll taxes, like we got rid of IQ tests for voting, which we had. in this country. Like we should also eliminate voter ID laws. Those same voter ID laws keep getting struck down by the Supreme Court because, on their foundation, they are meant to be racist, to prevent black people from going to the polls. So, look, let me frame it this way, right? A country that wasn't founded on the very least racist compromise, right, wouldn't have to keep squashing racist ideas to disenfranchise large sections of the population. Now, would it? No, it wouldn't have the modern picture of slavery, by the way, to be disproportionate populations of black men being incarcerated and then, being contracted to work for free for the state, cleaning roads, fighting fires, and doing other dangerous jobs, which we do have right now in America. Those are some examples of how the system is racist, and I can go into a lot more. For example, the history of redlining, destroying Black Wall Street, all those different things, okay? But yes, we have institutions here in America that work against people of color, and they should absolutely be destroyed. We should dismantle those ideas. Thank you for the inspiration, Ben. Thank you for, showing us the solution is to raise that system. And by the way, the idea, by the way, where he talked about, well, I mean, either it's the majority of Americans that believe that their family, friends, and neighbors are, actually racist. Well, you know what? That framing is crap because let's understand, right? People do have an implicit bias. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're racist, but I have to understand, or people have to understand that, you can have these implicit biases against people of color. Like, for example, you get raised with it. I was raised with that. I was raised with some of those misconceptions. And that's super uncomfortable for people to admit. Again, doesn't mean you're wearing a Klan hood at night, but it does mean that, for example, you cast doubt on a black woman being a successful doctor or a lawyer or a business professional, what have you, right? Like, you don't consider those people, or you say things like, for a black person, you are really articulate. That's one of those things. It's like, wait, why wouldn't I be articulate? What are you applying, right? It's those little things, right? That's part of implicit bias. And so, yes, that does play into racism because, again, you have those tropes and those stereotypes that have been floating around for quite some time. And you also have those institutions. You also have, things like, disastrous things like blackface that still happen in this country. And so, yes, we need to solve those things. And in order to do so, we've got to have some very difficult conversations about some very difficult truths. Okay. But Ben here, well, Ben just thinks that it's the TV's fault.
I wonder how much of this is just a certain amount of cultural pressure to cave to a particular narrative pushed by the media. You're not going to get called out or canceled if you say that you believe America is systemically racist and that you are all in favor of people kneeling for the national anthem or for the American flag. You will get canceled if you say the opposite.
All right. Oh, it's a media, cancel culture. It's got to be the pressure because no one could ever, really be waking up to the fact that for a majority of our history, racism has played a giant role in America. Oh, no. America is 100% pure, 100% perfect. We've never had anything bad that happened in the past. And when we do, we kind of whitewash it to make it not seem so terrible because America is so great. Well, you know what? I actually want America to be great. You know what would be great? Not having racism. Not actually systemically repressing a group of people based on the color of their skin. That'd be great. That'd be great. Look, we can either be ignorant to the fact that we have had racism in this country and still do, and still have racist institutions, because it feels better, or we should face up to the facts and actually fix it and make this country better, make this country more inclusive so that, everyone can do better. And we can actually have the American dream for everybody. Wouldn't that be great? Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc. We're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.